you know, this whole issue with going to the all-black meeting, that was an issue early on. Do you believe there's residue from anybody who got a bad taste in their mouth about you because of that, or do you think that's over?
It wasn't my brightest moment, but I mean, I think for those who didn't want to support me in the first place, that gave them ammunition not to. I think the most affirming part for me is that I've gone throughout this community, and people who know my record of public service certainly know my efforts to be inclusion and to preach inclusion and to be engaged in inclusion have recognized that and say, you know, it was a blip. The most interesting thing to me is that, you know, I went to this meeting, I spoke at this meeting. The next day I went to a meeting at the Chatham Club, in which everybody couldn't get in. Because of economics or because of membership, they could not get in as well. But nobody says anything about those meetings. And again, in neither case did I set the rules. I just went to the meetings. And as a public official, I try to make myself available. And I have made myself available. And that's probably part of the problem with that day. Again, I was invited to come and give my platform and vision for Savannah. And I went to a meeting that in retrospect I shouldn't have gone to. But to that end, there are a whole lot of meetings happening in this city. A whole lot of gatherings in which people are not involved in or engaged in. And so for me, part of my campaign is really to ultimately really have this big conversation, this much needed conversation about race and class in this community. It's the elephants in the room nobody ever wants to talk about, and the fact is it affects almost everything people do every single day. And if Savannah is going to move from good to great, we finally need to have those very courageous discussions, and I plan to help facilitate that happening. I'm saying that for well over 30 years, I have been in the middle of Savannah. That I'm a Savannaian. I wasn't born here, but I've chosen Savannah to be my home. I have purposely and intentionally made sure that I was involved in all aspects of our community. I made myself available for not only community service, but ultimately elected service. And so I'm a part of the fiber of this community. I can't be separated from the fiber of it. Neither can the fiber separate me. So, you know, hence it just seemed apropos that Van is in the middle of Savannah. And so I think it's symbolic, but I think it's really, you know, really kind of, it really kind of tells a story of Van Johnson and my relationship to Savannah.
And so what would you do differently, and what is wrong with what's going on now? And I know you've said it's not a personal thing, but that you'd be more inclusive. In what way, and what is wrong with what's happening now?
Well, right now you have an administration that has chosen intentionally to operate on 5 to 6 votes. Now, we have a 9-member council. Ideally, you want to operate 8 to 9 votes. And I've been on councils in which that has occurred. That's because we actively involved in consensus building, bringing people to the table, discussing ideas, even disagreeing, which is okay, but then finding resolution. That has not occurred. When Mayor DeLoach was elected, we had a meeting before he took office, and you know, he basically said, hey, I'll tell you 2 things. One is Carol Bell's going to be Mayor Pro Tem. Secondly, we're going to fire Stephanie Cutter. And I said, well, Mr. Mayor, you know, should that be something council discusses? He says, well, I got my votes. And that has been kind of the mantra, I got my votes. And he said, I got my votes when we wanted to demerge the Metro Police Department. He said, I got my votes when they passed the fire fee. And so that's just not a way that you run a government, particularly a government as large as our cities. You just can't do it. I mean, it basically means that you're ostracizing, you know, 3 to 4 of your representatives that represent people, that were elected to represent people.
So in terms of your own campaign materials, you're basically saying the fire fee and the demerger haven't worked out so well. Talk about that.
Well, they didn't. I mean, you know, today we're 50 officers down. We are probably 50 officers short in the fact that they are in some type of training. We have a violent uptick of crime of 32%. And in terms of the fire tax, I mean, of course, it failed. You know, once it passed, finally through the work of myself and a couple of my colleagues, we finally got it overturned. It was just totally unfair that we would charge $256 more for taxes, and we cannot articulate to our citizens what we actually want to do with it. We were just doing it by the seat of our pants. Now, in concept, you know, fire taxes are not necessarily a bad thing, but on our end of it, we could articulate to the people what we wanted to use it for. And then we turn around and we eliminate 33 fire positions and a fireboat that we are now told that we need to put back. The first one is to really spend significant time in building a high-functioning council for the council members to get to know each other, to be able to agree on some common course of action. Everybody makes promises during a campaign, everybody tells people things, but we need to really educate. And we'll have some new council members who don't know what it takes and the things that we're facing. And so this is an opportunity to educate them, but to really build a high-functioning council. The second thing is we need to hire the best city manager we can find. And I mean, find us a gamer, find us a first-round draft pick, someone who has proven experience, big city experience in dealing with some of the issues that we deal with. And then thirdly is really to be able to reconnect with our community, to remind them and show them. I propose even in town hall meetings that, again, that their voices should be heard, that we want to hear from them. We want you to be a part of the process. When people feel engaged in government, if they feel engaged in helping select a new city manager, if they feel engaged in interacting with the police department, now they feel engaged to be able to help us solve some of these crimes. You know, we have a lot of cold cases out there that I want to put a lot of emphasis on. Beyond that, we have a lot of people out there that are warrants, and these folks need to be brought in. And I mean, I think that's part of our issue. Then we have to engage in what's called smarter policing. You know, social media can tell you everything that you want to know, and I really want to use that, particularly as it relates to gangs. You know, some of these gang members are in our schools, they're in our communities. Everybody knows who they are, and we need to be able to really effectively engage them, to give them a way out or give them a way out. And then really to really talk with parents and help strengthen them to be able to deal with the issues. We know we have a crime problem with much younger children now, and we have to get these parents really engaged, get them strengthened, get them supported, so that they're able to be better parents to their kids.